streaming on YouTube, gentlemen.
Far out.
Far out.
It says setting up the meeting,
Yeah.
and we'll be live in 3, 2, 1, and coming live from Boulder, Colorado. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, from Boulder and Denver and wherever everybody's at. Hey guys, thanks for joining us for our Monday, what truck or car should I buy? And today we're going to be answering a really important question, Andre. We're going to be answering what's better for you? Is it a truck or an SUV?
Yeah, and also answering all kinds of other questions too.
Yeah. And you know, this question comes from a discussion I was having with Alex on autos, and Alex basically and I got into it over dinner one night. He was saying that most people, get this, Nathan, buy a pickup truck not because they need the utility, but because they want to look cool. And he suggested that to prove that, I should go to Home Depot and do like a inspection of people's balls, their hitches actually, and see if the hitch is used or if it's shiny and clean.
Oh man, that's just not going to go over well with a lot of people. First of all, a lot of guys who are full-blown hardcore off-road truckers don't go to Home Depot.
So we're asking you guys to answer this question. Which is the better choice? Would you rather have a truck or would you rather have an SUV? Which is more practical? Which is more useful? And let us know in the comments. And then we'll hopefully come to a consensus by the end of the show. And I'm voting for truck, no doubt. How about you, Nathan?
Yeah, the only reason I would even consider an SUV is just to hold family. I mean, if that was the priority. Otherwise, truck, absolutely.
Hey, just throw them in the back of the bed. Put a topper on it.
It's not like it was back in the 70s and the 80s,
Absolutely.
or Andre in the 90s.
I also want to thank all the people who are watching this live. We have Ron Smith, we have Mountain Goat Performance, we have Sasha Spiruk, Jensen, Kevin, Eddie, John, the 504. Nice. So thank you guys.
Yeah, so far the answer has been truck. How about you, Andre? Truck or SUV?
Well, I'm Mr. TFLtruck.com.
No, you're Mr. Toe, Andre. You're Mr. Toe.
Dude.
You're not Mr. Truck. You're Mr. Toe.
And you own a Hummer, so you're already in trouble.
Yeah, you're already in trouble.
So let me tell you this story really quick. So I used to have a 2002 Chevy Silverado heavy duty, right? It was a pickup truck, and I towed our boat and everything else, and I threw stuff in the back of the truck. I had a little truck camper, and then I sold it. It was time. It was about 10 years I had the truck. I got the Hummer H2 because I always wanted a Hummer H2, and I missed the pickup truck.
You do?
I love the Hummer H2. It's great, but I just can't like reach into it and like throw junk in the back of it. You know, I have to open the tailgate and the hatch and all this stuff. So truck.
Get an H3T. What's the problem? Everything's fixed.
It's a collectible, dude. H3T Alphas are like unicorns.
I saw one at Cars and Coffee. You know how big that bed is? That's about one dog, one medium-sized dog. And that's about all you're going to get in the back of that thing.
Yeah, it's a wiener dog's length. I mean, it's pretty small. I think it's about 4 feet. Does that sound about right? Maybe 3? It's really
no, it's not 3 feet.
It's like the length of your arm.
It's about H2T. This is a H3T pickup truck. Had like a 5-foot bed, I think.
So I was just talking to Alex before we started this. And you know what he's doing? He's doing a towing test similar to our Ike Gauntlet, except in proper Alex fashion, he's towing with his hybrid RAV4 up a mountain in California.
More power to him.
Yeah. I'm like, go for it, dude. A hybrid RAV4.
Go get him, Alex. You know, the thing is that you can tow a little bit with a hybrid. What is it? Maybe 1,000 pounds?
I think it's like, he said like 1,500.
15?
And he's got this big ass like covered trailer, which must be 1,500. Here, I'll show you a picture of it. He sent me a picture of it. I will share it with you guys, okay?
All right.
So you can see what he's towing.
Well, while Roman's doing that, some quick messages here on the super chat. I'm using my phone to read it, so sorry guys. Hello truck lovers comes from Twin Force, and oh, okay.
That's what he's doing.
I mean, he's That's got to be at least 1,500 pounds if he's got anything in it.
What do you think, Andre?
That trailer looks mighty big. Dual tandem axle.
Yeah, tandem axles. I mean, that's a lot of extra drag too.
I think the trailer by itself is probably maxing out this Toyota.
I think it's more than that, because he did say, I am somewhat disappointed. I climbed 7,300 feet at 20% with 20% more weight than I'm supposed to carry, and it didn't die. So I don't know what the weight is, but he did overload it a little bit, I take it.
Well,
Yeah.
there's nothing that can stop Alex ever. Nothing.
So check out his channel, guys. By the way, I have had one experience towing with the hybrid a long time ago remember when fuel prices went to like $5 a gallon? My wife bought a Prius because she was commuting to Denver every day, and
I remember your Prius.
Yeah, it was that 4th gen, I think, right? The one that looked like a giant cockroach. Don't tell her that. And I didn't have a tow vehicle, and I used to go dirt biking, so I decided to take my vehicle dirt biking up to the Switzerland Trail. And you know how steep it gets when you approach the Switzerland Trail, not the dirt part, but the regular road, right? You know how that is, right?
Right.
Well, about halfway up, towing my dirt bike, which I had like a Harbor Freight trailer, which must have weighed like 2 pounds, or maybe 20 pounds, one of those you put together yourself, right? And a dirt bike, which probably weighed 230 pounds wet. So figure it was at most 400, 500 pounds. About halfway up, the Prius ran out of battery. And I swear I was doing 10 to 15 miles an hour floored, getting up to the trailhead. So I think once you're out of battery in a hybrid, trailering or towing gets really difficult.
Yeah, especially a car that's just not built for it. I think Alex's might have a little bit more brio to it. By the way, there was Eddie says, I think as a daily driver, an SUV makes more sense because of the better economy and enclosed trunk space. But when it comes to towing and off-roading, you can't go wrong with a truck. And there's something to that. Not only that, but there are rumors that certain automakers are going to be building new hybrid pickup trucks. Take it away, Andre.
But before I do, in the chat room also, Aussie to you says, what is the difference between truck and SUV? Isn't it just like seats versus an empty bed? Seats on a roof versus but it's a little bit more than that, because let's take, for example, like a Ford Expedition, right? And an F-150. Right, they share a lot of components to some extent, some of the frame component, but the SUV is usually independent rear suspension, so it doesn't have a solid axle in the back, and the F-150 does. And really, the F-150 can tow more, right? I mean, its payload capacity, it can be higher, its towing ratings can be higher. It's not just like removing a roof, right, and then adding a bed. So there's a little bit more to that.
Yeah, and I think the roof also adds a lot of weight, right? So you're also limiting your payload when you have an SUV, based on a truck, like you said, like a Silverado or a Tahoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got carpet, you've got the seats, you got sound deadening, all that extra stuff that goes into the back of an SUV to make it comfortable for your, the people you're hauling around. You don't have that anymore, and you have maximum towing and payload capacity with a pickup truck over a regular SUV.
Tommy and I were having this discussion, and he made a good point. He said, like, a truck is the most useful open space you can ever have in any vehicle. And he's right. I mean, if you want to close it, you can close it. If you don't want to close it, you don't have to close it. You just throw stuff back there. And one of our videographers just bought a Silverado, Alex, right? And he could have bought an SUV, but he bought a Silverado because he has a bike and he takes it to the track, and he wanted to be able to load his bike up in the back of it. And actually, he was looking at a Tacoma because he wanted a small truck, but for the price of a Tacoma today, he was able to get basically $11,000 off of a Silverado 1500, and he could get 2 bikes in the back of that thing, whereas he could only get 1 bike in the back of the Tacoma. So once again, it's utility. I think it's about usefulness, and there's just nothing more useful than a truck. And I think if you haven't had a truck, you don't get it until you actually own a truck. At least that was me before I owned a truck. I'll be the first to raise my hand.
Yeah, I miss my pickup truck dearly. And another thing that Alex got out of that is he probably got about the same efficiency, if not better, with the big Chevy truck over that Tacoma. That Tacoma gets miserable gas mileage for a mid-sized truck.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's true. Yeah. All right, Andre, do we have some questions we can answer?
Yeah, and also I just wanted to wrap up this question, right? Truck or SUV? On tfltruck.com, our website, I posted a poll. So, and the real question there was, if you are buying a truck, why are you buying a truck? And it was two choices. I want one, and eventually I might use one, or I really need one.
And what were the poll results?
And the poll results came in, and I'm really happy to report about 280 people responded yesterday, and 75% said need, and 25% said want. So at least the TFL truck crowd, the crowd that hangs out on the website, they actually had many needs that they needed the truck for, either maybe hauling for work, or actually hauling big things, not just small things, or towing trailers.
Hey, I want to send a special thank you out to all you guys who sent us videos in for Dude, I Love or Hate My Ride. And we got I think we got over 100 videos, maybe even more than that. And Tommy's busy going through them all. We're posting those, self at-home edition walk-around videos where basically you show off your truck over the next couple of weeks to TFL Trucks. So if you want to see a really cool one, Tommy did one featuring the heavy-duty trucks, basically heavy-duty trucks with lots of miles on them, and that's up over at TFL Truck. And right now we're looking for more submissions for people who hate their trucks or SUVs or cars. We got a lot of love. We want to get some hate. I'm curious to see why you hate it. And if you want, go over, watch that video, and using basically WeTransfer, walk around your truck or car and give us why you hate it, and send us the video, and we'll make you a YouTube star.
Yeah, absolutely. And the instructions are on the website and also inside the video as well.
All right.
Aaron Britt, $5 donation.
Yay, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Aaron says, a truck is a work vehicle that can be used as a family vehicle, and an SUV is a family vehicle that can be used as a work vehicle. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Guys, all three of us, I think we have an idea also that only started happening recently. If you think about pickup trucks 30, 40 years ago, they were trucks. They were really simple, basic tools that you would use, agriculture, farming, whatever. Now they're so built up that they're like cars, so you can use them for the family as well. I think that's where the disparity starts to get a little foggy, because they are so good. They are so car-like. You could drive them every day. Things have changed over the past, couple decades.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. All right, Andre, any questions we can answer? We got tons of them.
Dozens of questions on email, and now Tony Dangerfield, $5 donation as well. So
thank you.
Tony says, only tow 3,500 pounds a few times a year, mostly camping, mountain bike, but use trails similar to the ones you test on in Colorado. Similar price, an MPG 2018 F-150 or Grand Cherokee Trailhawk or something else.
Wow, those are two very different vehicles.
I'm gonna go with the truck, dude.
Guys, Nathan and Roman, you drove a Trailhawk Grand Cherokee in Moab, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the truck, especially since it's so much easier to like throw your bike in the back. I used to put my bike on top of my car, and then one day when Tom was still a young guy, we were going down I-70, and this bike went flying off a car, and I was like, look, some idiot lost his bike, and guess who that idiot was? And luckily, nobody got killed or no car was damaged, but the bike was pretty toasted. And it was because I put it on top of the car and I didn't secure it down. It's just so much easier to throw it in the back of the bed. Same thing with towing. I don't know how much a Trailhawk tows, but at some point you may want to get a bigger camper, and I promise you a Trailhawk won't do that.
Yeah, you're talking around 5,000 pounds with certain packages. That's not a lot. And also, if you have pets and stuff like that and a family, yeah, the SUV makes more sense. But otherwise, a truck just makes more sense for overall utility.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you can actually camp in the back of your truck. I mean, the Grand Cherokee is a little bit smaller, but the bed of the truck can be quite large.
Yeah. I think
so
the F-150 is the way to go.
We have dozens of questions on email. So ask@tfltruck.com is where we receive a lot of your email as well. So we have many emails. First one is from Timothy McCabe, and Timothy has a really big question. But
People have a lot of time now, Andre.
he's down to 3 questions.
Just pick
Ford
one.
F-150, Honda Pilot, or the Honda Ridgeline. And he says that want versus need. He's talking about the poll I had on the website, right?
Yeah.
He says he has a little bit more, he's leaning towards the need side because he doesn't want to bother with cleaning the interior of an SUV. He can just drop some dirty stuff in the back of the bed. So he's leaning towards the truck. So Ridgeline or F-150? Wow.
What do you say?
I'm trying to figure out exactly which truck. He currently has 2002 Ford Explorer Sport Track. So he's already kind of in a smaller truck. So Ridgeline is 2 things. It's very comfortable on the highway. It's got independent suspension all the way around. The all-wheel drive system is good. They have a new transmission now, 9-speed. It's very, very efficient. Nathan and I recently did a test where we tested the Ridgeline on the highway. But if you're a little bit more adventurous, the Honda doesn't have the clearance, basically, to go off-road. So F-150, I think, would be the choice.
The Ridgeline's great for city dwellers who occasionally go onto like a dirt road or a fire trail or whatever and do light camping. I think that's totally fine, and it's more than adequate. And now that it gets better mileage, the new 9-speed, it's got really good performance. It's not a bad vehicle at all. But if you need a truck, buy a truck, and that would be the F-150.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up is Richard Jervis, and he has a question about forbidden fruit. So he was watching YouTube and he noticed that there is, in Brazil, there is a Ford Troller SUV, which is a little tiny 4x4. Of course, there's also in other countries our Suzuki Jimny, and some other little tiny trucklets like the Toyota FJ in certain markets, and et cetera, et cetera. And he's just asking, why no little tiny trucklets?
All right, hold on. Well, that's a great question, but let's ring the bell, Andre, twice, because we've got one from Adam S for $20, and Adam says, "Keep up the great work, guys. Appreciate all your hard work and awesome videos. Stay healthy." Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Donation. And then Twin Force Fusion, Canadian 1234. What is the most American truck made with less made in China parts? Oh, that's a really good question. Does anybody know that?
Take it away, Andre.
I don't have the exact data, but if you look at every truck's build sheet, spec sheet, it will tell you the percentage of parts that come from certain regions or countries in the world. And believe it or not, trucks like Toyota Tundra, who are actually made in Texas and have a lot of parts that are supplied within the Texas region, and actually kind of the East Coast and the South.
I can tell you what the most American car made is with the most American car parts, 74% local content. You know what that is, boys?
Honda Accord.
Exactly right, Honda Accord. And we got another one. Woo!
Oh, no, that's them. Yeah.
Mr. Pink, what do you think of the new Chevy Suburban's interior space? Also, hope you all TFL are doing well during these hard times. Thank you, dude. We're doing okay. I think we're all, in the same boat as everybody else, and it pretty much sucks, but it is what it is, right, Nathan?
We're dealing with it just like you guys, and we're rolling with it.
We're rolling with it. Yeah, I've had more salad over the every time you go to the grocery store, you feel like you're going into a war zone. I know that's not for all you military guys. I understand it's not appropriate because a war zone is much more dangerous. But from a non-military point of view, and so my wife went and bought like this Sam's Club triple bag of salad. I've been eating a salad. I'm dying for some wings. God help me, I would kill for like a wings. Just go to a restaurant, order some wings, sit across from these guys and share an iced tea or a beer or, whatever you guys love to drink and just, oh my God, I miss that so much. Anyway, let's go back to the question. What do you think of the new Suburban's interior space? Who was there for that one?
Stephen Elmer, but Roman, you saw the Cadillac Escalade. What about that?
I did, and I also saw the Tahoe. It's huge, guys. The interior space is freaking A. You can play tennis in there. Just use that second row as a net and play a little bit of doubles. It's that big. I am not joking, Andre. You know how in most vehicles, right? after the third row, you could probably put like, if you're lucky, it could be like a rollerboard and then maybe close, you know what I mean by rollerboard, right? One of those,
Right.
and you could maybe close it. There's more space behind the third row in the SUV, Escalade, and Tahoe than there is in most passenger car trunks. It's that big. I want to say it's like 40 cubic feet behind the third row, if I remember right. It's just immense.
Hey, so Roman, I think part of that has to do with the new rear suspension because they no longer have to have that section pulled out for the solid rear axle. Now that they have an independent rear end, everything drops down, and I think that gives you a lot more space.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
incredible. I remember sitting in the back of it, like, you know, just with my hand up on the seat, and Tommy closed the tailgate, and I was perfectly comfortable. That's how much space is behind it. So it's, and I don't even, if you fold down that second and third row, that's like, you know, 2 king beds put together. It's that big. An MBA center could comfortably sleep in the back of that and not have any room.
Could it be LeBron James, maybe?
LeBron James could comfortably sleep in the back of that thing. It's immense, and I think it's great. I think that's what it should be, because I always hated when you can't put anything behind the third row.
Yeah, because it's kind of useless. I mean, you're carrying people, but every person has their own luggage, right?
Yeah, you go pick up your kids, they got all their crap, right, for soccer or whatever, and where are they got to put it on their lap? It's horrible.
And the reason why I brought up LeBron James, it's not, I'm not a Lakers fan, but it's because he's still supposed to introduce the new GMC Hummer, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's supposed to happen in May 20th. And I went to their website yesterday, and it still says May. So we'll hopefully we'll see it. So how do we respond to this? Bring the Jimny, bring the Ford Troller 4x4.
Well, Nathan, you've done a lot of work on this. The Courier is supposed to be coming, right? That's the European small pickup truck.
Right. So, I mean, that's the rumor. There's nothing confirmed yet, but the Courier, which is basically a car-based pickup vehicle similar to the Ridgeline, might be coming here to slot underneath the Ford Ranger for a less expensive pickup truck. But the thing is, with the Suzuki Jimny, Suzuki left the United States. They only sell motorcycles here. They're gone. They're not coming back anytime soon, and I'm bummed because I love Suzuki. Most of the vehicles that you're talking about that are available in other countries, they have to go through federalizing, and that's extremely expensive and difficult for a lot of companies to do. Plus, there's extra tax on top of that, especially if they're built outside the country. So in order for them to bring those vehicles here, it's very expensive. It could be something that they have legal issues with. There could be insurance issues. There's a million things that could go wrong just trying to get it here.
2 words, Nathan: chicken tax.
And there's chicken tax. Well, chicken tax is part of what I'm talking about with tax. Yeah. And
what is it, 25% or something?
And they want, and the federal government's talking about making it even higher, trying to dissuade people from bringing in vehicles that are imported.
Yeah, wouldn't you at this time want to get rid of that? Wouldn't that be a great, because that's a tariff that we pay, right?
Yeah.
There's this misnomer out there that somehow when you tax somebody that they pay it. That tax just gets passed on to the consumer. So, you know, and it's so stupid, right? Let's talk about like some of the examples of how stupid the chicken tax is. First of all, it keeps us from getting things like the Amarok, right? There's a Fiat pickup truck that we don't get, but it's so expensive and so costly that Mercedes, for the longest time, used to build the Sprinter in Germany, right? And then they would have a company go and take it apart, right? And then they would put it into 2 containers, two big containers. Then they would ship it across the country, and then they
Separately.
built a factory where they actually reassembled it, and that was cheaper than actually paying that stupid chicken tax.
It still is cheaper. They still do it.
No, now what they did was they're actually building the Sprinters. They actually built another factory that actually builds Sprinters.
Oh, so they are fine. They did. That's right. I heard.
Yeah. So now in Charlotte, they're actually building them. But for God's sake,
building a factory. Yes.
Come on. It's you know, if the federal government, if you can't help us, then just get the freaking out of our way, right? Just let us buy what we want and don't impose stupid ass taxes that keep us from having cool vehicles. Because let's face it, because of free enterprise, we've got the greatest market in the world. I used to live in Europe for a while. I went over there. Buying cars there is crazy expensive compared to over here.
Yeah,
we have another donation, guys.
Oh, hey, another one.
Self-made, established in 2018, unknown. I have a 2004 Frontier with 330,000 plus miles with no problems, and it runs strong. Will it make it to 1 million? Well, I was in Chicago this year in February, and I saw a 1,000,000-mile Frontier, and it was actually, I actually drove it. It was pretty amazing. So it was a 5-speed 4-cylinder gas, and it felt normal. I mean, it felt like as if it didn't have that.
All right, guys, I have a question about that. You know, there are always like these 1,000,000-mile Mercedes driving around and 1,000,000-mile Volvos, right? And then you dig deep into it and everything's been replaced in that thing, right? So if you have a car that goes 1,000,000 or a truck that goes 1,000,000, but you replaced every single part, is it still the same vehicle or is it a whole new vehicle? That's my question.
I think there should be a qualifier there that if it's basic wear and tear, you know, brakes and pads and tires, I think that's one thing. But if you have to replace a whole transmission and the block 2 or 3 times, I think that's a little much.
Or how about just the seats, right? Or the interior, all the switch gear. It just wears out, right? Have you sat in like,
but the last 2 1,000,000-mile trucks that I've seen, the Tundra that I saw in Texas, and then this Frontier I saw with my own eyes in Chicago. Both companies, Toyota and Nissan, who were involved in these things, said that it was original engine, original transmission, and it's written. I think on the Tundra, several alternators, maybe a water pump, something else was changed, and on the Nissan, you know, a radiator was replaced and something else was replaced.
Water pump.
But still original engine, original transmission.
That's right.
But the clutch was replaced on the Nissan as well.
So you know, Tommy's got this old Mercedes, right, Andre? The old diesel, right?
Yeah.
Have you sat in that thing?
It's gorgeous. It looks immaculate.
Yeah, but you sit in it. It's got 150,000 miles, and your butt sinks all the way to the floorboards.
No, but that's by design. That's the way it's designed.
Hey, got another one. What do we got, Andre?
$20, guys. You're very generous.
Yeah, love the content, guys. Keep it up. Love how you've adapted. Oh, thank you, dude. We're probably working harder than we ever have trying to keep the content going, and we really appreciate that you've noticed. So thank you.
But dude, it's designed that Mercedes, you're supposed to sink into it and be luxurious and just nice.
No, there's a spring that goes right up your ass. Come on, that's not designed to do that.
Well, it is German. I'm just saying.
That was the old massaging seat before they worked it out.
Welcome to Helga's House of Pain. Now get in my car and go. Yeah.
So, by the way, guys, guys like Aaron Britt in the chat room, you said you have an 87 hard body with almost 500,000 miles. If you have a few minutes, if you haven't yet, send us a video. That's a really cool truck. If you do have so many miles, and those hard bodies were pretty, really handsome trucks. So that's nice.
Yeah, the 4-cylinder version of those trucks hooked up to a 5-speed manual were almost indestructible. And the same goes for a lot of those other trucks back then. They just built really solid 4-cylinder engines. Yeah, they weren't that powerful, but they did the job. Oh, hey, another one.
Ronald Strode, thank you. 199 wants to know about the 2021 redesign. Dude, when was the last time a car or truck company replaced a powertrain without actually redoing the body? That was a weird move on Nissan's part. Where the current, if you guys don't know, currently the Frontier has a new engine and new transmission, but they did nothing to the body. And so he wants to know when they're going to get a new body. Andre, when are they getting a new body?
Yeah, so the schedule is still the same according to Nissan, as far as I know, as of like last week, that it'll be debuted by the end of this calendar year. So by the end of 2020, the new 21 Frontier should be out. Several other magazines and outlets spoke to Nissan by themselves, not in a big meeting. And they said that the upcoming Frontier, somebody said, and this is, I can't confirm it, is that the new Frontier will be a little bit more lightweight. I don't know what they're going to do to make it a little bit more lightweight, but the idea is to keep the same engine, like the new engine, like Roman said, the new 3.8 liter, and then make it even more efficient by making the body and the bed lighter.
Yeah, so we just had the new Titan at the office, and I did a review with Tommy, a buddy review that's up on now, I think. It was up this weekend. And Andre, you just did a towing review with it. What'd you think of the new Titan?
Dude, yeah, it was a Pro 4X. And actually on Saturday on TFL Truck, we're gonna have a full off-road review of the Pro 4X versus the Trail Boss. That's gonna be really cool.
And the truck was damaged in the making of the video, I have to say.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell Nissan. Oh,
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry.
Now I know.
Whoops. Now they know.
actually, Roman, it's on you.
It is on me. Actually, it's on
This guy.
Tommy. Who's driving it?
Of course.
Anyway, sometimes
the Titan, they improved it a lot. The interior is better, the bigger screen, the materials are better, the new transmission. I towed with it in the mountains. The transmission works much better than the older transmission. The grade shifting is just on time. It happens right away. Sometimes on the flat highway, it still kind of hunts for a gear sometimes. I was towing 5,000 pounds, but overall, it's a much improved truck. And it actually, they increased the price on it too.
$60,000, gentlemen. $60,000.
Fully loaded. But dude, if you want to buy a fully loaded Rebel or like some other like GMC Sierra 84, 60,000 is like the entry. That's that's the price of the entry for some of those trucks.
All right, another question, Andre. We promised you.
Yes. So a question, an email from Hector Castro. And he says, what mods can you make to make a truck more fuel efficient? So he talks about, getting a truck that's a little bit lighter weight, 2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive.
Add a freaking engine spoiler like that F-250.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw this question, Andre. It was actually also answered. There's what he has is a Hemi equipped 2020 Ram rear drive. It's a 321 transmission, or sorry, rear end.
Yes.
He didn't mention whether or not e-torque. I don't think it is. And what he did was he added a bed cover to it, and that's about it. And he wants to know about other mods that might be able to help him out. And the bottom line is that there's very little that can be done other than perhaps he's got the stock larger wheels and tires. Maybe if he was to go down to a narrower tire, lower.
All right, Hector, let's talk, me and you, okay? Hector, gas prices are less than $1 right now in a lot of places in America. I would go the exact opposite way, actually. If it were me, I'd be like, what can I do to go and spend more than $10 to fill this damn thing up, okay? Love you, Hector, but come on, let's get real. I think in Michigan, you can get gas for 85 cents a gallon. Do we really want to have this conversation right now? Maybe not, is my thinking.
Let's postpone that. We can postpone the conversation because we have a donation from Pernell Robertson.
Happy Easter, guys. We hope they're in July. Great show. Hope they're in July. Anyway.
Thank you very much for your donation, man. We really appreciate it.
Roman, remember we had a guy at our old studio?
Nathan, keep going. What else can you do to make a truck more fuel efficient? It's a good question.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Andre.
No, I was going to say, so Ram on some models has a deployable chin. So it has a chin that comes down and then a chin that goes away. So you could maybe retrofit that chin on your truck. But Roman, remember a couple of years ago, we had an owner who brought his own Ram to our studio.
Yeah.
And he actually built like his own like aerodynamic capsule bed cover. It was tremendous. Like he lowered the truck, I think, another couple of inches.
Yeah, lowering it is another way to do it, right? You're going to get better fuel economy on the highway. Don't tow with it.
I have one final thing to say about all this, aside from the fact that none of that makes a lot of sense to me when you're buying a pickup truck. But there is one thing: change your driving habits. Seriously, if you learn to hypermile properly, as much as I can't stand it, you can gain so much mileage just by driving differently. It doesn't mean you have to drive slower than the speed limit. You just change your driving habits and you can actually improve your gas mileage that way. Yeah, I believe that email had to do with him having a girlfriend from Texas, and she introduced him to trucks. So this is all new to him. So the thing is that driving a truck is different than driving a car. It's a lot more mass. Think about it that way. And yeah, look into hypermiling, and it will actually help out.
So you guys remember that red Ram we had with the Eco Diesel that looked like it was an ad for some 4G company? Remember when that thing showed up at our offices?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It was a red Eco Diesel. We had it maybe 2 years ago. Does that sound right?
Yeah, but Wayne had it before us.
Yeah. So get this. So it's an Eco Diesel, and we asked our friend Nick to send it to us from Los Angeles, and he said, "Yeah, do you mind if I have Wayne do this?" And Wayne has a website called Clean MPG, right? So Wayne shows up at our offices, having driven the thing straight from Los Angeles, which, I might let you in on the secret that that's 1,000 miles, right? And I'm like, okay, Wayne, I know you're a hypermiler. How many miles did you get before you had to fill up that Eco Diesel? And normally that Eco Diesel would get maybe 500 to 600 miles on a tank full, right?
Right.
You know what Wayne told me?
I do.
Exactly, 0. He drove it all the way from California, from LA to Colorado, and it still had gas in it, over 1,000 miles on one tank.
But
Now,
he's
that
a little
is
bit
changing
extreme.
driving.
He's a little bit extreme on his hypermiling.
He is a little extreme, but that is changing driving habits.
Yeah, I don't know how he made it over the pass, honestly, going over the gauntlet without having to just, suck up so much fuel. That's the part that really gets you when you start going up in elevation.
We have several more questions, I mean, dozens. Eric emailed us, and he said, he's basically said a thank you, and he's driving a 2017 Ford Fiesta ST, and he is 6'6" tall. So just wanted to mention.
What's his question?
He just says thank you.
He's saying thank you.
Oh.
Because we had a Ford ST, Fiesta ST series. And actually, a big guy can fit in that car amazingly well.
As long as they're in the front seat, yeah.
Yes. I have to read this big question first. So is there another one on the chat room that we could make?
Yeah. Somebody said add nitrogen to the tires. That's what dealers will say. I'm not sure that's a great way to get more fuel economy. I think that's a great way to get more money to the dealership, but I'm not sure it's going to do much for your fuel economy.
Well, nitrogen is just going to make it so the air depletes slower from your tires and only makes them a little bit lighter. It's not that, I don't think it's that much of a difference.
Now, if you do add helium, that will make them lighter, won't it, David?
Helium, you have to understand the size of the cells of each thing, and I wouldn't recommend helium at all. It's great for parties, though.
Yeah, make for fun voices if you can get it out of the tire.
We should do an episode of this with on helium.
Dan Atkinson says Wheeler dealers did a great hypermiling segment when they did up an 80s model Civic. Yeah. Hey, Dan, nice to have you on the chat. And you know what? Somebody said that the dude was lying. Wayne wasn't lying. I mean, you should see the way that guy drives, right? He literally drives within feet of semi trucks. And so if you're in that semi trucks, well, I would say blind spot, he would say slipstream, you're probably going to get really good fuel economy.
Yeah, he's extreme about that, guys. He also will go into the shoulder when necessary and let people pass him. He'll do everything he can to go as slow as possible to stretch out the mileage. We don't recommend that you necessarily drive like this, by the way. I will not sit 5 feet behind a pickup truck or any truck on the highway going 80 miles per hour or even 60. That's what he does, not me.
Yeah, and I would bet he never touched the brakes on that whole drive.
I bet he barely did. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Andre, what you got?
Yeah, and also Wayne has several records, verified records, with Audi, VW, many companies about hypermiling. Yeah. I have a question from Donnie Stahl, and Donnie recently purchased a F-150 5-liter Coyote with a 10-speed, and his question is about the transmission itself. He says that he's liking the older style trucks, older transmissions, but he did buy a new truck with a lot of gears, 10 speeds. And he says that it does well on the upshifts while he accelerates, but he's noticed that sometimes it shudders when he slows down. So when it's actually downshifting to come to a stop.
So I was super skeptical, Andre, about the new transmissions,
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of biking, right? And when I started on a bicycle, it went from like 10 gears, and then they went to 20 gears, and they went to like a miniature triple in the front to 30 gears. And I thought that a lot of the thing that was happening in the other street, right, when they went from like 4 gears to 5 gears to 6 gears when we were young, and now to 10 gears, was just a bunch of marketing hooey. But I got to tell you, probably the biggest change and improvement outside of like engine technology, right, has been the transmissions getting much more fuel efficient. That Silverado that we have with the 5.3 would not be half as good. Well, first of all, Chevy has what, 3 different transmission options, right? You can get a 6, you can get the 8, or is it 9?
8, yeah.
8, and then you can get a 10, which is in itself pretty freaking crazy. But yeah, the biggest difference are those high gear transmissions. They just do so much to liven up a truck, to make it fuel efficient. I love that 10-speed, and it's just a great thing. What do you think, Nathan?
Well, going back to his question, and I think it's something that some people who are a little scared of modern technology and whatnot may have an issue with. Anytime you add complexity, you're adding technical issues in the future. That's what a lot of people are afraid of. So going back from the good old 5 and 6 speeds all the way up to 10 speeds, some people are just not hip to it. Personally speaking, I can see where they are smoother, they're more efficient, they seem to be better even on the track. But of course, there's the other thing that instead of each gear being so big, they have to get smaller and smaller in order to stuff everything. And perhaps that might not be good for future wear. Right now, we're only at about 8 years with 10 speeds. So what happens in the next 8 years? Who's to say?
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot more complexity. And you're right. Time will tell whether the complexity is going to mean that it's not going to be as good. But, in the short term, having like the smoothness, like you said, Nathan, the fuel efficiency, and just the much better like driving around town. If you've driven the Raptor, right? That thing is incredible. It's jumping from like 7th to 9th to 10th. It's crazy what that thing's doing. It's a technological tour de force, and I think it's cool. Andre, what are your thoughts on more gears? Are they better or worse? Time will tell.
So far, what Ford introduced it in 18, right? So almost 3 years of F-150 10 speeds. In the pickup truck, I'm not talking about cars. So 3 years may not be enough time to really understand the full spectrum of everything. But as far as every truck I've driven, I've always been pleased with these new transmissions, especially like the Nissan Titan we just talked about. That transmission is much improved. The Ford transmission, GM, etc., Ram, they're just good driving trucks.
And then there's another benefit, right? If you have, let's say, a new Jeep, the new JL, right? Oftentimes in the old one, if you had the automatic, which is what most people buy nowadays, unfortunately, that's a whole different conversation. And I see people talking about the manuals are dead, but if you were to upsize tires, right, you automatically eventually had to change the gear ratios in the rear axle because you would be pushing much bigger tires and you couldn't pair it with the transmissions. But the first thing I heard from everybody who upsized their tires, the new JL, is that the better transmission, right, with more gears now handles that much better. So what you have is a Jeep that you don't have to mod when you upsize the tires and potentially wheels. And that's cool too.
It is cool.
All right, let's talk about something else that's really cool, boys. And that is the gold hitch, Andre. What's happening with the gold hitch?
Yes.
A year worth of work coming to fruition in what, 4 days?
Yeah, on Thursday this week, on the 16th of April, we are announcing our winners. We have 4 categories. We have best mid-size off-road truck. We have best half-ton diesel truck. We have best heavy-duty off-road truck. And we have best heavy-duty diesel truck. 4 winners we're going to be announcing. We already published a promo video, which was, I think, one of our best videos ever. And Nathan had a big hand in that. And
voiceover, Nathan.
Yeah, and tomorrow we're going to publish a little poll on our YouTube channel, TFL Truck, where you guys can also tell us which truck you think will win. And then on Thursday, we'll tell you which truck actually we voted for. And there are 5 of us voting, including Mr. Truck.
And Steve. So, dare I say, gentlemen, dare I say, it's the combination of the Oscars, the Emmys, and maybe the MTV Music Awards. Dare I say it?
It's also a Tony Award and everything else wrapped into one.
All right. I want to thank Aaron Timmer. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron says currently own an 06 LR3, which we have right there. So do we. That is hurting at 144 miles. For a replacement, should I keep looking for a regular Rubicon or wait for the 2020 Defender 110? What a great question. We have that LR3 and ours has, what is it, like 130,000 miles? So are you saying that mere 14,000 miles, ours is going to go south?
Or less.
It could.
Well, so basically saying Defender or
Rubicon.
Which one would you get, boys?
So I haven't driven a Defender, so I can't say. And we wish, I think we've been slowed down by this virus. I think we could have driven one already. I was
supposed to be in London today, in the UK driving the damn. Today, I was supposed to be in the UK driving it. And instead, I am here talking about just dreaming of a plate of wings. How far we've come.
It'll all come back. It'll all come back. But I'll say right away that it depends on your personal taste, because I think that the Land Rover is for the crowd that likes to also drive on the street and have capability. You buy a Jeep, especially a Wrangler, you're buying something that is built specifically for off-roading that can go on the street. And I think that's a big difference.
The new Defender is independent suspension, right? If you want a powerful engine, and it has one, it has a choice of 2, but it has this fancy, right, straight 6. Is that right? In the Land Rover, with like 400 horsepower, but it also costs like 65 or 70,000 bucks. So if you want high tech, if you want style and all that stuff, the Defender could be a great option for a big price. For a little bit less money, you can get a Rubicon.
Yeah, I mean, and not just a little bit less. I mean, you could probably get a Rubicon the 60,000, and the first edition, at least here in America, of the Defender is going to be north of that, probably more like 70,000. And you could probably go into a Jeep dealership now and get a Rubicon for much less money, right? You probably get one for mid 40s at some point, whereas that first Defender launch edition is not going to be anywhere near 40s. It'll be more like 60s. And the cool one, right, the one that's a 2-door. That's not even going to be available until later, and I'm not even sure that the 4-door is available yet. It's supposed to be here in dealerships at the end of March, but I was going to go actually to the Defender, to the Land Rover dealer and see if they were there, but I forgot over the weekend. So
let's go right now.
If I love our LR3, but I love the Jeep. It depends what you value more. Okay, this is how I would say: if you value off-roading more, right, and customization more, then go for the Jeep, because it's like a Harley. You could make it your own, and it's a lot cheaper to make your own, right? Parts are cheap. There's just a giant world of aftermarket people, so you can make that thing like a Harley, anything you want. If on the other hand you value luxury more, and you kind of value that panache, right, and you value being the only one on the block, which you will be with the Defender, then go for the Defender, dude. And they both are great vehicles. You won't go wrong either way. It just, off-road luxury. Pick one and go for it.
I would agree. We have a lot of questions of people asking Expedition versus Suburban. Like, which one would you buy? Last year we did, we actually towed with all of them, actually over the last couple of years. And we will do another Gold Hitch towing competition in 2021 when the new Suburban arrives, and all those new trucks. But guys, what do you think? Suburban, current Suburban, or current Expedition?
I'd go for the new Suburban. That's my answer, because it looks really cool and it's got a lot more room. But I got a $10 donation from Reginald Carter here. Reginald says, can someone address whether or not the FCA 68 RFE transmission is reliable? I'm considering a Ram because of the Cummins. Just need some feedback about the 68 RFE. Thanks for your channels. You are most welcome. Andre, that sounds like a question for you. Is the transmission reliable? Or Dan Atkins.
I have a couple of stories about this. Before this, I used to play volleyball.
Yeah.
And I had a
Yep.
really good friend who drove an older Ram.
Yeah.
I think her truck was 2010. She had a 68 RFE transmission, and it was rebuilt twice. So what Ram has done and what FCA has done, they've had this 6-speed transmission that's their design and kind of built for them and with them for many years, over a decade, I believe, if not more. And they've improved it over the years, but it's still not maybe as bulletproof as like an ISEN transmission or some of the other options like a ZF transmission that they're now putting into some of their trucks. So I would be kind of cautious about the 68 RFE, especially if you're buying a used truck. So if you're buying a used Ram heavy duty, and this is 2500 because they're big 1-ton trucks, high output trucks usually have ISENs. So you need to ask, first of all, which transmission am I buying? Is it an ISEN or is it the other one? And also, has it been rebuilt before or has it been updated? So if you're kind of careful about that, then yes, but I've heard some issues, and she's not the only one who had problems with her 68 RFE. I also met a guy a couple months ago who had issues with his, and so it's not the best.
Thank you. That's a very thorough answer. So I would say the answer is no. Keep away from that transmission. I mean, there are a lot of used trucks out there with a lot of transmissions, so why go for the one that has been problematic for a lot of people?
Somebody says I'm playing beach volleyball. Well, it's not like Top Gun. No.
He plays indoors.
It's totally like Top Gun. Andre's nickname is Goose.
People are saying that the Range Rover and Defender are going to be mommy cars that'll be cruising down Hollywood Boulevard. They're probably right about that. And then somebody's saying, get the Bronco.
G-Wagon, for crying out loud.
Hey,
There's more Mercedes G-Wagons located in Southern California than anywhere else in the world other than maybe Beijing and Tokyo. It's ridiculous.
Hey, we do have news about the baby Bronco, right, Andre? You wrote it up. Actually, Zach wrote it up. It's been delayed, I guess. The news is that it's not going to come out until September at some point. So, baby
the production's been delayed. Yeah, so it's a couple-month delay. Yeah, so and the big Bronco, we don't know yet. No, we don't know much about it yet.
We don't know anything about
it. There's a question: should I buy a Wrangler or wait for the Bronco? We don't know a lot about the Bronco yet.
I mean, we know that it's going to look a little bit like the old Bronco. We know that the top's going to be, we know a lot about it. We know the top's going to be removable. It's going to compete pretty head on with a Wrangler, right? It looks like there's going to be a lot of like Ford probably benchmarked the Wrangler and said, this is what we want. And, this is what it's got to have. And potentially it might have, the turbocharged power plants, which I think it's a really good news, especially for somebody like us who lives up here at high altitude. That Pentastar is getting a little long in the tooth, which is the one that most people buy in the Wrangler. And we haven't had great experiences with that 2-liter turbo. It was problematic when we had it.
Yeah,
and the Bronco won't have a V8.
No, not right off the bat. We do know that it shares a lot of components with the current Ford Ranger, and it's also built on the same production line as well. So we do know that. So there are some things we do know, and that they haven't hidden either. The fact that it is, a proper body on frame, that it actually has a solid rear axle, independent front end. We know these things. But Roman's absolutely correct. It's supposed to compete directly with the Jeep Wrangler.
So stay tuned, guys. Yeah.
Somebody is asking, how's our 7.3 big Godzilla V8 doing? He's doing great. In fact, he's actually leaving today, I think. So what we're doing is we're building up our F-250 project truck. We're sending it to California. It's being picked up today, I hope, by the end of the day. And it's going to Carly Suspensions. We're doing a suspension, proper, really high-end suspension system on it. And then we're also going to be using a 4-wheeler Scamper out of California as well to put, make it a true, proper American overland truck.
Hey, guys, I've got an expert here who'll address that question, Defender or JL. So come on, expert. You're the off-roader here. You tell them what your choice would be.
Come on, T-Bone.
This is not what I intended. Like, it's kind of one of those things where we know what the Wrangler is, now, and we know it's available now, and especially given some of Jeep's really attractive, offerings due to the crisis, I think you can get some pretty good deals on it. So I'd probably go for the Wrangler. Although if you're a big Land Rover guy and you love the brand, the Defender I think is going to be really cool as well. I mean, it looks really cool in the pictures.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Bronco is not here. The Defender is not quite here. I mean, you could wait forever, or you could get a Jeep.
Yeah, for sure. And I just wanted to give a shout out to some of our viewers. We've been doing these viewer submissions, right, through our WeTransfer, and it's an opportunity for you guys out there to send us like 3-minute long or longer clips of your trucks. And we've had some really amazing submissions. And actually, some of the guys and gals watching right now are actually people that have sent us videos. So like Tad, I was just looking at your H1. I just downloaded the clips. What a cool truck, Andre. You're going to be excited to see that. Dan, I was just looking at your Ranger. Love the gray. So we've got some really amazing submissions. Thank you guys who sent them out. We're going to try to get to all of them. It's just taking a long time to kind of sift through them. But for sure, hopefully we'll be able to publish all of them because there's some really cool trucks out there.
Hey, Tommy, can you ring the bell?
Yeah.
Ring the bell, Tommy.
So Chris Bermudez, another $5 donation. Thank you, Chris, so much. Chris's question is, hey fellas, I've got a 2019 Z71 Colorado, and I'm wondering what's the best tire and wheel sizes for off-roading without having a lift? So a ZR2 with a slight lift has a 32. Stephen Elmer on TFL Off-Road just, I believe today or yesterday, published a video about a Colorado Trail Runner, which is basically a stock Colorado, well, Trail Runner is a stock factory package, but with off-road tires, Goodyear Duratrax on it. And I think those are 31s. So I don't think you can go much higher than that. Otherwise you'll be rubbing when you're off-roading and climbing stuff.
Yeah, Andre, to back that up, I know somebody who, without a lift, went and put 31s on there and has no clearance issues or anything else like that. But remember, you also have to keep in mind the width of the tire as well, because it isn't that deep. And so you might need to think about offsets and some other things in terms of the wheels. So keep that in mind. Yeah,
and there's another choice if you have the money to actually buy, like you said, Nathan, another wheel option. So if you actually change the offset, so pushing the wheel out a little bit, and that will help you, when turning, if you do have a bigger tire, potentially to kind of help you, but probably more than 31. 32 might start rubbing already.
Yeah, I hear 31 is the max for safety.
What's the best truck at the $35,000 mark? Says that's a tough one because I don't know exactly how you're going to use the truck.
Yeah, mid-size, full size.
I think in terms of value, if you're looking for a new truck, the Frontier Pro 4X is an incredible value, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more off-roady. And the new ones now are only the 9-speed automatics, but if you can find any of the leftover stock on dealer lots from the 4-liter, the 6-speed in that was really good. And you could get into one of those nicely equipped for like 31, 32 with discounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a manual transmission too, a manual option.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I mean, I should address some of these comments. I do, when responding to like the Wrangler Defender, I am a big Land Rover guy too. I mean, they're probably some of my favorite trucks, on the market. I just think the issue with the new Defender is, from what we've seen, there's a lot of carryover kind of technology and components from other models. So, there's just not enough to differentiate a Discovery 4 or Discovery 5 from a new Defender, right? I mean, they're all independent suspension and air suspension. They're all unibody. They're all low-range transfer case with the terrain dials. I would have loved to see them do something completely different with the Defender, more back to their old school roots. And their new systems with the terrain response and the air suspension are brilliant. They're really good. But for continued hard use off-road, I'm not sure I would want to trust that Defender every day if it's something that I'm going to be using out in the brush a lot.
Yeah, well said. Before we wrap up, because I mean, we've already been going for about an hour. I just wanted to give shout outs to a lot of the folks who sent us emails as well, like Anand Saeed. We had Robert Crawford sending a question about the Ford Ranger lift kit. We haven't tested one yet, so hopefully in the near future we will, and we'll let you know exactly how it affects the truck. We have like folks like Ryan Miller asking us questions. We often cannot get to all of yours, so we really kind of apologize about that. Like Brent Westrick and Mark on the chat room who wants to drive the Godzilla back to Colorado with us. So I'm not going directly back to Colorado from California because we got to go up to Sacramento and then spend some time there and then head back via Wyoming and Utah and all that jazz. But yeah, I wanted to thank everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for your submissions. Now, speaking of the submissions, this was kind of interesting. I think we've gotten close to 100 now. And it's cool to see kind of like the mix of what people drive. So we've seen a ton of F-150s, which perhaps isn't surprising. But, you know, a lot of the 2015 and newer F-150s are just a really hot truck among you guys. And we've seen them in all sorts of trims from lifted ones to two-wheel drive specs. A lot of Frontiers. So a lot of our viewers drive Frontiers. A couple Tacomas, a couple Tundras. A bunch of Silverado Trail Bosses, specifically the Trail Bosses. And then some seriously lifted Rams. So not a whole lot of stock Rams, but really lifted like 25, 3500s. lot to deal with there. Oh, yeah. And then other mid-sized trucks, old Rangers are popular. And then I think we've had 2 or 3 new Rangers. So it's cool to see like there's a pretty wide mix out there.
Yeah, and also like Land Cruisers, right? Did you mention Land Cruisers?
Mm-hmm. We've gotten a couple Land Cruisers. Yeah. We've got a Porsche 911, a Honda Insight. We have an F650 box truck. So it's kind of all over the board. Ron Smith is asking, how's Gunsmoke? Gunsmoke is good. Case has just did a video. I think it's going to publish tomorrow if we can get it done. He popped out a huge dent in the side of the bed with a soccer ball.
Yeah.
So it actually worked. He like stuck a ball and then he pumped it up and then it popped the dent out beautifully. I was like totally amazed that old trick actually works. So that'll be coming up tomorrow.
That's great. And Dan Atkinson says he has a lifted Ford Ranger. So, and then we got your submission as well. And the question here from the email was, how does the lift affect like towing and, you know, some of the other weight carrying capacities, and also how does it off-road? So we need to do more about this.
Hey guys, so thank you very much for watching. Remember, we're gonna do this again on Thursday, same time. Friday, sorry, on Thursday, we're going to do the Gold Hitch. Friday, we're going to do this again. And then, Andre, you're going to put up some polls up on TFL Truck to find out which people think won. So go over the categories again. The big triple, we need like an acronym for, you know, what the Gold Hitch are.
Well, it's the best towing and the best off-road truck in the land. That's it. That's the end.
The BTT, the best towing truck?
Yeah.
So what are the categories? What are the polls you're going to put up?
So yeah, tomorrow 2 off-road categories: best mid-size truck, off-road truck, new truck for 2020, and best heavy-duty 2020 off-road truck. And we've considered all of them. So in the heavy-duty category, it's the Power Wagon, it's the GMC AT4, and the Ford Tremor. In the mid-size category, it's all the latest, you know, the TRD Pro, Taco, etc., Jeep Rubicon, Ford, all of them. So I'll put that up tomorrow on the TFL Truck YouTube channel as a post.
Yeah, so the idea is we want to know what you guys think is the best truck. And then Friday on the show, what we'll do is we'll compare it to what actually won the best truck. So we want to know if you guys are on the same page as we are, or if we would pick a different truck than you did. So basically, we're going to compare your results to our results on Friday.
Yeah, and we'll argue a lot, I think.
Yeah, we will. So best off-road truck tomorrow of all the off-roaders, right?
Yes.
We test them.
What's the other category? On Wednesday, it's the best towing truck. So basically, the half-ton diesels. So the Silverado, GMC Sierra, Ford F-150, or Ram 1500 3-liter, the 3-liter category. And then the big V8 category for big 1-tons. So this is the new Power Stroke, the new Duramax, and of course the new Cummins in the Ram. So that's Wednesday.
All right. So, and then Thursday we will publish the video where we got into it and we picked the winner. And then Friday we'll meet right back here and talk about what you guys picked versus what we picked. So yeah, it's an exciting week. I can't wait. Andre, Nathan, thank you guys for taking the time to jump on this What Car Truck Should I Buy? Thank you guys for joining us live. And if you're watching this as a video, thank you for all your support. Thank you for all our Patreon members. Thank you for the guys who helped us with Super Chat. We couldn't do it without you. It's a tough time right now, and we really appreciate you guys supporting us.
Thank you so much, guys. We truly appreciate you.
Yeah, and you guys are very generous. Just amazing. So, all right, we're going to sign off if I know how to do it.
All right. See you guys Friday. Ciao.